lecture series. This is Muthuminal R, Assistant Professor from the Department of Agricultural Engineering at SNS College of Technology. Today we'll see the continuity of the previous topic, risk assessment and mitigation, that is specifically on preparedness and planning under the unit Introduction to Disasters under the subject Disaster Management for the students of final year 7th semester. Before going into the session, let us have a small recap what we have seen at the previous class. We have seen what is risk, what is the impact of risk, how we can mitigate it, how we can assess it. So today's topic will be the continuity of the previous topic. We have seen what is risk, the thing that is going to happen sudden, which have a several impact on ourselves and also on the livelihood. So in order to identify them, we have to assess the risk that is going to happen. So while assessing the risk, we have to consider four key steps. The first step is we have to initially identify the risk. Under identification of risk, what we have to do in the sense, we have to categorize the potential hazards like the natural hazard or technological hazard or the human caused hazards. Natural hazard is similar to that of the hazards that are happening naturally due to tsunami or earthquakes or floods or anything. Technological hazards are something like cyber attacks due to some very insecure comments under social medias. This is all we have to consider under technological hazards. And also under human caused hazards, we have to claim as vandalism. And also we can say that some things like if we have a bomb blast and due to terrorist attacks and everything are some of the potential human caused hazards. After identifying the risk, what we have to do so in the sense, we have to evaluate the impact that could be caused due to these kinds of potential hazard, whether this hazard is very severe, and also we have to identify whether it is medium or it is slow. We could categorize these kinds of severity under three things, that is catastrophic, significant but recoverable, and also the third one is minor disruption. The next key step will be under assess the probability. That is, we have to determine the likelihood of occurrence or the probability of occurrence of these kinds of risk under three categories: low, medium and high. The next one is we have to prioritize the risk by ranking them based on the impact and the likelihood to guide the resource allocation. The first thing that we have to identify the risk, then we have to identify its severity, identify its likelihood and identify its prioritizing. Now we have to, what we have to do so in the sense, we have to rank them under the prioritization. So focus the mitigation efforts on three categories, whether it is high, whether it is medium or whether it is low risk first. Then after which we have to draw a risk matrix which will provide you a clear visual for ranking as I have shown here. If it is accepted, then others could be mitigated and some could be transferred to the third parties. This prioritization directs the resource allocation and detailed planning. So here what we mostly consider is the most critical risk with limited resources, and then we have to visualize the risk using the matrices for comprehension and ranking. And then what we can do in the sense, we can do the strategic decision like acceptance, like mitigation or transfer based on this kind of analysis. Some of the risk mitigation strategies that we have seen in the previous itself is avoidance, control, acceptance and transfer. The first one is we have to change some plans or the processes to eliminate the risk entirely, or we have to implement measures to reduce the risk impact. Then we have to acknowledge and monitor the low impact risk without intervention. Also, we could shift the risk to the third parties through insurance or contracts. Some of the example of mitigation actions are zoning regulations, which will help us in implementing planning and zoning to reduce the hazard exposure; floodplain protection, protect the floodplains and construct property relocation wherever it is necessary as shown in this figure. And also we can use some warning systems by installing advanced disaster warning and communication systems. The fourth one is going to be your emergency training, which will help us to conduct regular emergency response training and public outreach programs. After doing so, what we have to do in the sense, initially we have to plan and implement. Planning and implementation could be done under four key phases. That is, we have to develop a plan, we have to assign responsibilities, we have to integrate policies, and also we have to commit some resources. Under the development of plan, what we have to do in the sense, we have to create a detailed mitigation plan for all prioritized risk. After developing a mitigation plan, we can clearly define the roles, responsibilities, and timelines for each action under assigned responsibilities. This will help us to integrate the policies, embedded the mitigation measures into existing organizational policies and projects, and also which will help us to commit the resources, ensure strong stakeholders involvement, and secure the necessary resource commitment. Here, as we do so, it will also help us to monitor and update the mitigation plans. By continuous tracking, we can monitor the risk status and assess the mitigation effectiveness. It will also help us to conduct the reviews and update the plans as risk evolve and new data emerges. The drills and simulations, like test plan through realistic drills and simulations to identify the gap, and also utilize the metrics to measure the progress and ensure compliance with the standards under the key performance metrics. So here today we have seen what are the best practices could be done under the risk assessment, that is preparedness and planning. We have come into a conclusion that comprehensive risk assessment is very much functional and foundational. We have to prioritize and tailor the mitigation strategies to your unique risk profile, and also to engage all stakeholders and maintain flexible and regularly updated plans. This effective preparedness not only will reduce our potential losses, and also which will help us to protect the assets and also ensure the long-term resilience of your organization. So this is what I have prepared for today's class. If you guys have any kind of doubt on anything, you guys can ping me anytime. See you at the next class. Thank you.